can never please all of the people, but I mean, if it's the general betterment of our citizens and the quality of life that we want, if we forever looking over the fence at something that's happening over there and not working together, we'll never really achieve where we want to be as a nation. Regardless of, who leads the next term, we will have things in place that I hope, like the housing and those type of issues, and that will move forward with the next generation or the next leadership at this table. Over the next 5 years, is one of our priorities is to have something in place where we have a number of units for people that want to move back home, and create our tax base with our working citizens and other people that will be living on our TSL. A number of our citizens that are probably hoping to have some sort of contribution from the nation, and this is just to create an equal playing field from away from home and the people that are actually citizens that live on Hitatsu or treaty settlement land. So we need to have that capacity within our own organization to feel like we're actually really in charge of our own true destiny as far as First Nations and as far as the youth. That when we start having the people that, and don't get me wrong, that's just post-secondary. In the trades is another thing that has always been on our mind. They're good paying jobs. They create revenue. They create a family unit. To ability to excel, to grasp the things that they want to make their life comfortable, and it creates a tax base for us too, as far as if they're living on TSL. Those are positive things that in the end will contribute to our revenue sources through taxes. I think it's time to use the tools which the treaty gave us, is to choose really our own destiny as a nation and as a people.
The Junior Guardians program was something I joined in the summer, and we started that by working on the trail out there towards Hitatsu Lake. So we had a couple of trainers come in and show us how to build trail, and then youth and young people were working to renovate an old trail and then build a supplementary side trail alongside the old trail there. So for example, they did a chainsaw safety course, they did a possession and acquisition licensing course, which is with a firearm safety piece, which is the prerequisite for the PAL, so it can handle firearms safely. We also did a 40-hour wilderness first aid course, which was excellent and really hard work with the young people.
At first I didn't like it because I viewed it as like work or just sitting in the woods, but over time it's become a bonding experience. I wasn't very good. I could do it before, but now I'm like really good at setting up tents and stuff and building fires. Over the years we've built those skills, building fires, setting up tents, and like making shelters. We've had people come out and teach us how to make emergency shelters and everything like that.
There is a lot of youth with great potential, and those are the citizens we should really be focusing on, is because they are our future. We should provide them the support to go out and get the necessary training to take on these leadership roles. So, like I said, they are our future. We have a lot of really smart young individuals here. It's mind-boggling.
They're attracted by the idea of working, learning, and doing something new and doing it outside. So the trail building, for example, was a chance to work with tools and equipment they wouldn't regularly do. It was a chance to make a contribution to the community. So you build a trail, people can come out and use it. So they know that they're helping elders, they're helping the community to be fit, to be healthy, to explore what's in their own backyard. So if we look at the current intake of our junior guardians, the end game for them would be that with these qualifications that they've got, should they choose to do further training or education, they've got things on their resume, on this CV, that's really, really strong. So if you want to work for Parks Canada, having the Wilderness First Aid course is an important thing to have on your resume. Looking ahead, I think what we're doing is we're setting up a really positive future for the community by building capacity in our young leaders.
I appreciate the Warrior program most because it's brought happiness to a lot of people outside of my community. And I'm glad that the Warrior program enabled me to experience those trips and all those people. I didn't realize I was enjoying it until we talked about it a lot. Me and my friends, we We always had the best conversations there in that space.
Yuułuʔił̔atḥ Government Samantha Mamalnikits Mamukwa Otshin Yuułuʔił̔atḥ Government Office Culture and Heritage Assistant. My name is Samantha Tucci. I work for Yuułuʔił̔at First Nations and I'm the Culture and Heritage Assistant.
Uklama Carrie Cunningworth, Utshin Mamukwa Manager of Culture and Heritage, Yuułuʔił̔atḥ Government. My name is Carrie Cunningworth and I'm the Manager of Culture and Heritage here at the Yuułuʔił̔atḥ Government.
Yeah, it's amazing to see so much more younger people involved. We have James and Jada who are interested in joining the programs here.
We were able to collaborate with Data Marine Services to not only do just the 4-day coursework, which is usually what happens, but to also provide a practical vessels training opportunity to have people out on the water and experiencing different boats and doing like wave mitigation, man overboard drills, and really like practical on the water skills training. People loved it. Yeah, it was fantastic, and it was really awesome to see that people were enjoying themselves and that they were sharing stories of their families out on the water and traditional harvest areas, and to continue that on, I think, is really special.
And the Me Too clause is a rights-based fishery, similar to what a Howsett court case was in the Taquiyap. That is initiated, and I think hopefully once we get it in place, available for any citizen that actually wants to go and access, ocean resources at the time. But it's so quite a ways from that, and you'll be able to sell. Whether it's salmon, halibut, lingcod, rockfish. But ocean resources that are identified in a Howsett case, so which will give opportunity for our mosquito fleet or the small boat fleet that maybe under 30 feet, and entrepreneurs that just want to go out and improve their quality of life by having an income that sort of reflects their effort, right?
We were able to go up and do an overflight from Nootka all the way down to just past Barkley Sound and see the herring spawning.
We're currently still working on the repatriation of the artifacts that were clearly laid out and agreed upon in the 2011 treaty. And only after years of work on it are we just now starting to see these objects returning home. It's very exciting and an important step forward for the community, because these artifacts are so much more powerful when they're here at home. And they have such a greater impact for the community that had them taken away and have been missing them, as opposed to being on display in a faraway museum for viewers that don't have a connection to them at all. It's a very powerful experience to see the artifacts in a place like Quebec, where they were being housed, knowing that they were taken away from the community or sold from under whatever circumstances, and to see them finally come home, and the look on the elders' faces who were part of the 2011 agreements to start trying to get them home. It's a very powerful experience. The artifacts returning home is so important for the young people, because in some cases they're items and parts of the culture that they don't know exist or have never had the opportunity to see them before.
My name is Geneva. I am a woman from Yuułuʔił̔at and I live in Itatsu. I really love it. It's connected me in ways that I didn't think were possible. Really connects me to family. My great grandma, I knew she used to sing, but I didn't know she used to weave baskets. It really feels like home when I get to speak my language, and I actually feel more comfortable in my language now than I do in English. So I still have a long ways to go, but teaching it, I honestly did not get into learning my language to teach it. I actually just got into it because it sounded really interesting, and but it's been fun teaching as well. I teach 4 days a week now in the evenings, on top of my legislature duties and my schooling and working for Parks Canada. So Teaching it has been a real blessing. I think I have about 12 consistent students right now, and they're actually picking up the mantle to try share ideas. My youngest student is 8, and my oldest student is 64, I think. So, but they've been there 3 days a week without fail, and they're learning survival phrases. So they're learning how to be able to speak with the fluent speaker just in the language and just to stay in the language. So we're gonna master 60 phrases by the end of March, and then we're gonna master 120 following after that. I'm very proud to carry it and teach like my grandma did. My mom taught after my grandma passed away, so it's a real family legacy to be able to do that. Yeah, it's been awesome. I love it.
Yeah, some of the past highlights over the year was our silent speakers course. So we use cognitive behavioral therapy for the silent speakers to coach and support them in reclaiming their language. And it was the foundation for our new classes that we have. Due to COVID, it's online, but Geneva's attendance is amazing. She has about 10 to a dozen every class, 3 times a week. So it's just amazing to see so many new language learners.
Another thing I'd really like to see is an elders facility. You know, our elders are our knowledge holders, and I really think that, you know, we need to, you know, have a place where they can go to, you know, sit down and have a chit chat with one another, and to teach our younger generation our values.
Like to see more involvement of our department in the management of culturally significant lands. And providing opportunities for citizens to get back out on the land and revisit these areas and ultimately increase the Yuułuʔił្�atḥ presence on the land.
I would really like to be able to beautify our community, you know, like start from house 1 to house 94, like, clean up, people's yards, plant some, flowers, just beautify the community. I think having a beautification project here would be really, I think it would be a really cool thing to do. It's a community thing. We could all, chip in, but I think a beautification project would be really, really cool. Now that we've got our, building, our healthcare building, and hope to get a new building someday in the future, we're going to have our own, intimate healthcare team taking care of our citizens here, which is instrumental. We've been wanting adequate, healthcare services for our community for years, and now we're finally getting somewhere, which is, it's a bonus. Dr. Rohan he played a huge part in getting all these people.
Well, I guess one of the biggest accomplishments in the last year was the opening of our Quiet Keys Head Start Childcare Center, one of the larger centers on the West Coast. It brought to our community lots of employment and lots of training and interest in certification for early childhood education. So it's nice to see us go from having no early child care educators in the region to having several. So the interest has grown in the last year, so it's nice to see. I think being able to care for our infants and toddlers or having babies in our childcare center is a definite bonus for our community and for the rest of the region. In May, the legislature enacted our Emergency Preparedness Act, which requires us to develop and finalize an emergency response plan by May of 2021. So we're starting at the ground level again, establishing another team who will make sure that our community is safe, not only from the pandemic, but other things like earthquakes and tsunamis or power outages, for example.
We were able to hire Dr. Rohan, who is an infectious disease specialist. And I'm very grateful and very thankful that we have him to get us through this, because if we didn't have him, I can't even imagine where we would be. I thank him every day because I think he's just a tremendous individual, and I'm so thankful that he's a part of our team.
The citizens regularly, they need to be informed, especially right now, of the health, the COVID following, what to expect, any kind of emergency notifications, how to keep themselves safe, how to keep their families safe. The next thing would also be the taxation. So providing information how the nation is moving forward and what that looks like for the citizens, as well as language and cultures is a big note as well. So overall, I find every department in its own right is exclusively important. Yeah, so the monthly newsletter, we used to have a YG newsletter, so it was different than the Yuułuʔił្�atḥ. So it will be rolled out again more for the nation, more government, more unified in technical terms. It will be information direct from the management team as well as the executive and whatnot. So it will be more of a formalized communication tool for the citizens. To follow our social media streams, we always keep the posting up to date, whether it's job postings, if it's information, notices, not just through the nation, but also through the parks, through WildSafe. So any of our partners, all the information will be on the Yuułuʔił្�atḥ First Nation Facebook page, as well as the Yuułuʔił្�atḥ First Nation Instagram page. So they're handy tools. The website is also a handy tool to use. We do have all the government information on the website.
So I think in terms of market research, normally we were looking at a 5-year plan. This year we broadened it out to a 10-year plan and actually went about doing a larger body of business research. And now that we've done that, our past intent would have been to organize the community and have a facilitated session to gather the voices of the community members and hear what they thought and felt about certain opportunities on the traditional settlement lands. And I think because we weren't able to do that last year, we've gone about putting in place a 10-year plan, and we're really hoping in the spring or summer, should we be able to do it safely, of course, with COVID. We want to have those voices, and it's so important to get the members of the community together.
Having an economic development officer is one of the highlights of my term. This is our first economic development officer that has been hired permanent full-time as an employee of the government. And that position is incredibly key and strategic to ensure our ability to leverage our assets. And so to have that position in place and staff. And from there, it's a matter of just working hard and building that tax base so that we can provide those resources back to the government, which provides the resources and support to the community.
My grandmother was a strong Christian, and whenever she woke up in the morning, first thing she would do would offer a prayer. So I'll just share some of her words. Waikash nas yasapi hawes, sasakwinmin, hupiin, wahtakshih, tax jig ukapin tashe, nashuk suk upin, ukuk go upin, kakhak, kleko hawes, anatah suk niwa, upas ya ayakwinkin. So it says, praise be to you, Creator. We are making a plea. Help us to learn. Show us the right path. Strengthen our spirit. Let us have a good day. Thank you, Creator. You are listening to us and our loved ones. Chu, let go.